Into the eye of the camera, dear. We're staring in it, they're staring in it today.
I see you, you see me. We're seeing each other.
We got a lot to discuss on this episode of Gratcast. It's been a crazy week, 4th of July, all this nut stuff. It's been a rockin' and rollin' week, dear.
A rockin' and rollin' week. Have you been to a lot of concerts this week?
It was an earthquake reference.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You forgot that fast?
I totally forgot that fast. I should look and see. Right down there at the bottom. Earthquakes.
Yep. We got a little topic bar this week. Andrea decided we have a new hood ornament.
Format. Oh, yes.
Yeah, a new hood ornament.
This, you will see, fits with today's theme. Like, it kind of matters.
But yes, Andrea did also recommend that we get our act together with some title cards. So we have
Not exactly how I recommended it, but whatever. It's closer, right?
Okay. Well,
I want it to be like Newsroom.
So,
you guys remember Newsroom?
First earthquake hit at about 10 in the morning on the 4th of July. You want to give our joint experience of that earthquake there? What was happening at that point in time?
Waking up. Literally, I don't like to wake up before then. I just don't. I am more of a night owl than an early morning person. And Kris is already awake and doing stuff since like 7 a.m.
Doing stuff.
You know, technology things that are already causing cancer right away, first thing you do. And so suddenly Bear starts barking, and this house is old. So when someone leaves, like, and they slam one of the doors, you can hear it throughout the entire house because, like, all of the window panes kind of do that little and you can hear it. And it sounded like someone was repeatedly slamming the door because the windows just kept, and I was like, that's more what was waking me up. Is I was a little pissed. I was just getting pissed that someone was making noise. Like, come on now, it's unnecessary. It's a holiday. And then I open my eyes and I look up, and our ceiling fan that doesn't work is starting to rotate. And I was like, this is an earthquake.
I kept telling him, like, there's an earthquake. We've got an earthquake going on.
Nah.
You're like, what? And I'm like, it's an earthquake.
Like, no, it isn't. It's nothing.
It just kept going. I thought that one was long. What was that?
That was like a good 15,
20
seconds long, and, you know, long enough for me to think someone else is messing with me and then coming to a new conclusion.
So that was a 6.4, and it happened. You want to put the picture up on screen here? This is where it happened. This is about, see that blue dot down on the bottom? That's Los Angeles. There.
We're underneath magnitude earthquake. That blue underneath magnitude.
We're probably under the T.
That would be about right, yeah.
So it was about 75 miles northeast, they said, from us, about in the middle of the desert there by a small town called Ridgecrest. And then no one's really talking about the second one because there was actually 3 in 24 hours. At I think it was 4:05 in the morning of July 5th, a 5.4 aftershock hit the same area, and it was in the middle of the night when most people didn't feel it or whatever, but it was recorded. And then the next one hit at, I think it was 8:38 p.m.
It was about 8 something p.m. because it was about 8:15 because I texted you and asked you if you felt it, because he was working on a podcast.
Yeah, we were in the middle of
another podcast.
We were in the middle of live streaming when the earthquake hit, and it was actually the topic of the show was vibrations, and everybody in the chat is like, they staged this is totally fake, there is no earthquake, vibrations, and they have an earthquake, and no, this monitor was shaking. It was, that one went on forever. That one for me felt like it lasted close to a minute, and then I went back and watched the podcast episode, and we'll tell you the podcast here in a few minutes. But I timed it. It was like 1 minute and 3 seconds that the shaking happened and on air while the whole thing happened. It was so long, and that one ended up being a 7.1 from the same area.
Yeah, I was over at a friend's house, and she lives on the hills. Like, as you know, a lot of people in LA do live on a hill, and their houses are built into the hill. But part of it is the front of their house, although the bottom is built in, like the second floor is on like stilts kind of thing. And yeah, we felt it. Like, it felt like it was swaying, kind of moving, and I was glad I was on the inner wall of the top floor, and they were on the outer wall where the stilts actually were in the living room, and it was a little scary. And we were at a birthday party for my friend. It was his birthday, so that didn't help anything. And
at least his house didn't slide down the hill for his birthday.
Exactly. That was actually a very solid concern. And he was like, oh, this is the first time I've been in an earthquake in my house. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'm like, no, dude, I don't like that either. You guys need some more columns outside.
So the crazy part about these earthquakes is they all came from the same area, the exact same spot. And there's, the internet. There's all sorts of conspiracy theories and stuff all going around because there's a naval base, a naval weapons base, exactly at the epicenter of where all three of these earthquakes are.
Like, do you see Naval Air Weapons Station, China Lake, but then Ridgecrest? That's the actual place where it was all happening. How crazy is that?
So China Lake, apparently this isn't just something that came up today. There's been whispers and rumors that there's a secret underground military base there. They're doing experiments, all sorts of crazy stuff with an underground base. And people are saying, oh, well, maybe this war against the cabal that's supposedly happening behind the scenes, this was a retaliation of some sort, shutting down this experimental facility underneath the ground. And the whole thing was blown up and destroyed, and that's what caused the earthquakes was the
Okay, I think you just went way fast over something there, as if everyone knows about this.
Okay, clarify me.
Underground bases blowing up, like,
they're actually called...
breezed over that, which is kind of the important part.
They're actually called DUMBs.
Okay,
Deep Underground Military Bases.
So you're saying that naval base, that this one...
Yes.
Is actually underground. It's not above ground.
There is speculation that the base is there by itself.
Okay.
And there's speculation that there is a DUMB underneath China Lake, a deep underground military base a mile underneath China Lake.
Is China Lake that little blue thing that's right underneath the N in naval, or is it the big thing next to Searless Valley?
No, I believe China Lake is
that tiny dot of blue underneath the N in naval.
No, I don't think so.
Then where is it? Where is China Lake exactly?
I think it's the lake right there by Searless Valley.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's all close together there. That's a small little part of the map.
Yeah. That does make sense.
Speaking of deep underground military bases, one of the things we watched this week, and I've seen this in the past, but I wanted to show our friend Romello Nelson, who was on a previous episode of the podcast, and who's going to be starting his own podcast coming up here soon. Going to be producing that one as well. We're producing podcasts all over the place these days.
Kris is getting busy.
And I showed him this lecture given by a guy named Phil Schneider in 1994. So Phil Schneider is a former U.S. government geologist and underground engineer, and he became a whistleblower in the 90s after what he claimed to be getting caught up in a firefight at the Dulce Base. That is another one of these deep underground military bases. Supposedly, there was some structure issues or whatever, so they sent him and then a bunch of Marines in. Didn't tell them that, hey, there might be some hostiles down there, and told them to go look at the structures they wanted to expand this base. They end up apparently stumbling on some grays, according to Phil Schneider.
Grays, you're
you're
saying things as if everyone knows what you're talking about.
Well, the grays,
wow.
the grays are a certain race of aliens. The most popular ones are the big bug eyes, long fingers, and all of that. So what Phil Schneider claims is that this Dulce base was a joint base between humans and the Greys that were experimenting and doing all sorts of DNA and genetics experiments on the lower levels
like X-Files
of this base. Oh, totally X-Files stuff.
Like cigarette smoking man, that whole group, and sharing the DNA and having files. And
Well, this guy came out in the early 90s, right around the time when Chris Carter was in his heyday with the X-Files and that. So a lot of these type of things influenced that research and stuff. So
you mean like maybe he was Chris Carter's person?
He claims that a firefight ensued when they stumbled across the Greys turf down there, and somehow one thing led to another, and anywhere from 40 to 80 people in this entourage were slaughtered in the ensuing firefight. 3 people made it out alive, including Phil Schneider, who now he's got like 3 hands missing because
fingers. He doesn't have multiple. Sorry. He has 3 hands.
He's got 3 fingers.
He's the alien.
He's got multiple fingers missing. He claims at one point he was hit with an electrical weapon that fried all.
The picture doesn't show his hand.
He holds it up in the air, but he's missing fingers. He said it fried all of his toenails off. He doesn't have toenails anymore, and so. And he gives this whole explanation, talks about what the alien agenda is, that they're secretly kind of geoengineering the population and keeping us in potential food resources and all of that. And again, you got to go down these rabbit holes yourself and decide what you believe. This is just what some person is explaining of their experiences and what they were involved with trying to share his story. Now, he goes out of his way multiple times during the speech to say, listen, I'm not suicidal. I don't plan on being suicidal. In fact, I wish more people would start speaking out, because the more of us that speak out, the safer it's going to be for all of us. This information needs to get out there. And there's a lot of things that he said that over the past 10, 20, 25 years since he's done all these speeches have either played out or come to have more circumstantial evidence bringing all of these things together. And couple of different topics on that was the shootout. This is one of the crazier ones, but he holds up this picture and he's like, "This is my dad in the picture." It's a big military meeting room, and this guy with the big head and jawline, he's actually one of the altruist alien races, a different alien race that's more humanoid in shape. And he helped us out for several years in the 60s. He was known as Valiant Thor. That was his code name, was Valiant Thor, and he literally was a humanoid alien that came from a different planet and helped them in all sorts of different types of situations in that, just like literally a Marvel superhero would work with the government behind the scenes and shit.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there's all sorts. One day we're gonna do a whole episode on the Valiant Thor, because there's a whole rabbit hole of different stuff with all of that and the conspiracy threads. But the thing he went out of his way many times to say is that he wasn't suicidal, but he did fear for his life, all of these type of things. And shortly, I think it was less than a year, it might have been as early as 2 weeks after he gave this speech. That's on
3
YouTube.
months.
It was 3 months?
Yep. According to Wikipedia.
3 months after he gave this speech, he supposedly committed suicide by strangling himself with his own catheter. His own pee tube. He's like, you know what? That's how I'm going to go if I'm going to kill myself.
And they only knew because of the autopsy. At first they tried to say that it was like a heart attack or something. But then after the fact, like when his body had settled long enough, they could actually see where he had been strangled. But they still racked it up to a suicide. So
one of the other things that he touched on in this whole long interview and all of that was that kids were being held in underground facilities.
And women.
Women, children, all of this, and being experimented on.
With MKUltra.
MKUltra, we've talked about this many times
But that was specifically what they were doing at the Dulce Base.
And you get to today, where we are today, and everyone is in an uproar about the kids and what's going on and people disappearing. And we're going to get to Epstein here. I was trying not to jump topics. And it's starting to become crystal clear that there's a lot of human trafficking going on, and it's pretty organized and institutionalized. And people like Phil Schneider suddenly have a whole lot more credibility. And now, one of the last things we're going to talk about on him before we move on to the next topic is one of the scariest parts of his entire speech, which is on YouTube here. He just said in passing, by the way, Planet X is real, and 2050 it's coming back to the solar system, and that's pretty much it anyway, so have your fun now.
Okay, so...
You want me to unpack that one?
Yes. What is this Planet X?
So for those that don't know, for years and years and years throughout the conspiracy theory circles, there was always this mysterious Planet X, or Planet 9, or Nibiru was another good name for this planet. And what it was supposedly considered was a rogue planet that went in a counter rotation to our solar system and was so far out there that it came around in like 25-year cycles or whatever, because this is how far its orbit was. And then when it came through, it terrorized the solar system and came through backwards through it, because it's a massive planet, like multiple times the size of Jupiter, allegedly. And forever, everyone's like, this is bullshit, it's conspiracy theories, it doesn't exist, this is all fake bad translations from ancient texts and scripture, because it's been theorized all the way back through all of the ancient religions and carvings and stones that this Nibiru existed. Everyone hearsay. Over the last few years, I'd say the last 3 to 5 years, more and more scientists have been, little by little, saying there has to be another planet out there. There's all of these, so the Sedina, this 2010 GB, all of these different things that are odd ellipticals compared to how the solar system operates are unexplainable unless there was this big, giant, massive planet that fluctuated the gravity pulls and the orbits of all of these different planets. So they found a whole bunch of circumstantial evidence that there has to be potentially another planet out there somewhere. It's just too far out to see. Which brings us to...
All right, 1 second. Before you go anywhere else, what are these 2010... What are these years?
No, these are different different markings in the years they were discovered of large objects that are rotating around in our solar system that have orbital patterns that don't make sense without the gravity pull of an extra planet to factor into the equations. So they do all of these kind of different models in that, and they can tell that, like...
And why are none of them considered to be the 9th planet themselves instead? Because
they're not.
They look
They're,
a lot closer to our solar system.
No, they're well. Number one,
Nine.
they don't meet the qualification of a planet. They're like either a large asteroid or...
as we've seen with Pluto, apparently we can change our minds at will.
Well, that's because Pluto's right on the line.
Yeah, now it is.
It always has been. Sometimes it's...
Really?
Listen, you're measuring a planet that's way the hell out there. Your measurements are going to be off a little bit. So as technology gets better and your measurements get a little better, well, I'm sorry, Pluto, you're not big enough to go on this ride. You're just a big rock. Now we can see it a little better. We've got a better measuring stick. That's what it comes down to. So, yeah. So Planet 9 may or may not exist. I tend to believe this this Phil Schneider guy. At least in his mind, he has to be telling the truth. Because you listen to the way he talks, and okay, I love the term nerds as a positive type of thing. Like, people that really get nerdy about something, and they care enough to know all the microanalytics and all of this type of stuff. So when you're talking about tech nerds, they know the itty bitty details and schematics and all of this type of stuff. That's their nut.
Yeah.
So when you're listening to this Phil Schneider guy talk, like, it's not serving any purpose for some of this stuff he's just saying off the cuff, giving measurements and the verbiage that he's using is not just like some nut job telling a story like what I'm doing right here. This is a guy that like knows what the fuck he's talking about, and he's getting like into the shit, and too much so where like some people's eyes are starting to gloss over and stuff. But like, if you're lying, if you're making this stuff up, if you're a LARP, which is what the kids like to call the storytellers these days, if you're a LARP...
What does that stand for?
Live action role player. So if you're LARPing, you're not going into that much detail. You're not fanboying out on the nerd stuff with all of that. So I don't know, man. Forget the information. If you just take what the gut instinct tells you of whether this person thinks they're telling the truth or not, this guy checks all my boxes of somebody that legitimately seems like he has experienced this stuff. And one way or the other, you need an explanation for where your fingers went.
Well, there was a boy in my class when we moved to Iowa who was missing his fingertips on a couple fingers, and that was just like a farming accident.
Sure, there's lots of ways to lose fingers, but the fact he has missing fingers definitely adds to the story.
They did say he had like a big scar on his chest that he claimed was by a laser blast.
He's missing toenails. He was on a catheter still from these injuries and all of that stuff. Like, the guy was clearly messed up, and something did.
Well, they acknowledged the Dulce Wars happened on the base. A lot of something went down, but they tried to say it was because they were saving the women and children, and that's what happened. At least when you look on Wikipedia, but. Then again, we were not there, so he likes to say the Greys were there, and he does go on an awful lot.
Yeah, so if you get a chance, check that out. If you've watched the Bob Lazar documentary on Netflix that's going around lately,
everyone.
Phil Schneider makes Bob Lazar look like freaking Mr. Rogers. It's unbelievable how much farther down the rabbit hole Phil Schneider took things, which is probably why he got a catheter wrapped around his neck.
So let's talk about going down rabbit holes.
Yes. So the show that I was doing while the earthquakes ran, yes, but I was live during the and get into it. This guy's nuts in the greatest way possible, and he dives into all this stuff. If it's anything from vibrations to conspiracy theories to scientific rabbit holes. like his big thing is he's definitely in the realm of the flat earthers. And he wants to make NASA admit whether or not space is actually real. And
would you believe him if they said it either way?
Well, he wants
if they said yes or no,
that was
either
actually,
way, would you even believe them? Because by questioning them already says you don't believe their word.
That was actually one of the things I brought up to him, that if you believe NASA's lying about space, then the rest of the system has to be in on it anyway. So even if you bring them to court, the rest of the system's going to protect them anyway. But my whole thing...
Well, it's not even that. If you know someone's a liar, how can you ever believe them? If you already believe they lie to you, then what does it matter what they say to you? You're never going to believe it. Even if it's what you want to hear.
My whole thing with this and other topics on extreme ideas and thoughts and concepts and all of that is there's no harm in considering alternate answers and explanations to things that either can't be explained or people refuse to explain or things like that. And if the truth is what it's claimed to be, then it should stand up to a crazy wild theory. If we're really on a globe, then nobody should feel threatened by the idea or the desire for proof, personal proof of a flat earther. Because inevitably, that proof is going to be given to them one way or the other. The only way you're threatened by these extreme kind of ideas is if the idea actually has weight in water and you don't want it to grab any traction. Much like the church wanted to shut down the whole solar system theory way back in the day. Anytime people want to shut down crazy ideas, that makes me think. Because if the idea is crazy, it'll fall under its own weight anyway.
Well, it's not even that, but what difference does it make?
What do you mean, what difference does it make?
What difference does it make if it's a flat Earth or a round Earth? Really? Personally, right now, what difference? If I told you that, what happened?
A whole lot of difference.
Would things start floating to the ceiling?
It has nothing to do with that.
Would suddenly countries just fall off the side of the Earth because I don't see them?
It has to do with the ripple effects of what that means. If you've literally been guided and directed to something so thoroughly wrong, the question inevitably becomes why? If we're on a flat Earth, then what is the flat Earth on? It has to be on something else. And if it's not on something else, now we start talking about hologram and are we a simulation? Is this all a computer imaging that isn't a globe because there's a limit to where the rendering is, and there is
what actually. If that is true, so what?
There is scientific evidence for when you start to get into quantum mechanics that the blurry rendering starts pulling apart and they see coding. Like, what is that?
That's your eyes just doing magic eye then. That's too much work all at once.
Yeah, well, I mean, these are the rabbit holes that David dives into, and his shows are Tuesdays at 7:30, Fridays at 7:30, and Saturdays at 7:30. Each one's got a different kind of topic and show. He's got a huge following already, and the chat goes crazy every episode, man. These people love bringing up all these different... David, what do you think about this? David, what's your thoughts on Epstein getting arrested?
So you're jealous of his chat?
Absolutely not. I'm the one helping him manage in the chat. I think it's the greatest cool thing. I'm loving helping a show that's got a passionate audience that's following and engaged with it to the fact that there's all sorts of different elements and stuff you can roll out to it.
Did you say something about Fridays?
Yes. So that's David. This is how the format of how he does his show.
This is what his looks like.
And he kind of smokes out of his window here while he engages with his chat community and talks
he's my
about
kind of guy.
All these different kind of topics and stuff.
If I get to sit in for you, I get to smoke. Then he'll offer me a cig and I can do it because it's his place. It makes him feel comfortable.
I'm gonna make sure that he doesn't offer any cigarettes
that's
in such a situation.
Mean.
But he's a great guy. He's got a good character.
What's his dog's name?
I forgot the dog's names and all of that.
That is a look though. That's like an almost growl. Just who do you think you are? This is my master.
But he's got a wild, over the top, eccentric personality, and it's really entertaining. And so this Friday's show, all of his audience and his guests, he wants them to watch the show with their pet and tweet a picture of them hanging out with their pet, watching the show. And then we put the computer screen on the feed once in a while, so he's got the pictures from the fans and that are all sending stuff in, or different crazy conspiracy theories and stuff he found that he wants to talk about. He pulls all that up on the screen, and I'm the guy behind the guy, juggling back and forth between that stuff.
Sorry.
Notes down.
Notes down.
But yeah, it's a great fun show. I love the fact we get to explore and talk about all of this stuff. And he's the first one to tell you, don't take my word for it. I tell you this stuff, do your own research. Come up to your own decision. Think for yourself. Just whatever happens, you think about stuff completely differently than you did before you heard him talk about it.
And what do they call him?
Boomer, yeah. Oh, dude, there's some great Boomer references in there. This is the coolest Boomer on YouTube.
How cute is that?
Yeah, everybody calls him a Boomer.
I think that's the newest thing. I'm just going to start calling everyone over 60, about 60, Boomers. Cuter than pie.
All right, so, dear.
So we went from the happy talk to...
We need to move on to a topic. Well, take that picture down for a second here so I can get some backstory on who those people are first. So, this is a story that happened probably 2-3 weeks ago here in Los Angeles, more specifically in the Corona area, which is, I
East
believe,
LA?
Yes, at a Costco. And it has gotten a lot of national attention, and people in the area keep talking about it on Twitter, keep bringing it up, keep trying to put pressure on some sort of explanation to come out of this whole thing, because it looks really bad. Here's the facts, and then I'll give you the circumstantial evidence facts. That's what it's looking like. In addition to that, so the official story and the confirmed elements from both sides are
And witnesses.
Are at some point in the evening, a weekday evening at Costco, there was an altercation in the line for the freaking free samples. The altercation happened between a 32-year-old mentally challenged adult who had not spoken in over 10 years and had no history of previous violence but had had his medication changed, and a off-duty police officer with his family who may or may not have been holding one of his children at the time. Apparently, he said, she said, and one of the he's doesn't even speak, the mentally challenged adult shoved the police officer. Now, the off-duty police officer claims, or through his attorney, he claims that he fell to the ground while holding his child and was knocked unconscious, and when he awoke, he was in a quote-unquote fight for his life. Funny how they made sure to go out of their way to use that specific language. One thing led to the another. Witnesses say there was at least 30 seconds between when he identified himself as a police officer and when he started shooting. During that time, the father, a 60-plus-year-old man, who was just shown there in the picture, got in between the cop and his son and tried to explain to him and apologize. He's mentally challenged. There was no harm there. And the cop didn't take the apology and started blasting away. When the cop was done blasting, the son was dead with 5 shots to his head. The father was critically wounded and is still in ICU fighting for his life. And his mother was shot in the back running away from the situation and is also still in the hospital recovering, critically wounded. When this story first broke, it was declared on live TV and put out there that there was another mass shooting taking place at a Costco. There was a huge police reaction, all of this big response. All the witnesses and that guy pulled a gun, started shooting people. This was the whole story. Then suddenly it was a self-defense. The only person that had a gun on them, the off-duty police officer, felt in self-defense he had to gun down a 32-year-old man and his parents.
And according to that, he was holding his daughter at the time, too.
Yes. Well,
that was why he took out his gun, is because he feared for not just his life, but his daughter's life. Afterwards, witnesses start talking about it. The poor sample person. Oh, my God. Awful day for you. Oh, just to give away little freaking hot dogs.
What it looks like and what people that were there have said on Twitter and what the whispers and stories are is that it came completely down to ego. He didn't like the fact that he got shoved in front of his family as
his wife was holding the child, not even him.
As an off-duty cop.
They weren't pushed at all. And it wasn't... he was never knocked over. he was never knocked unconscious. According to other witnesses who were around there, they shoved each other. It was like they literally...
Two assholes.
Heading to the same place in the same direction. Of course, one of them bumps the other one. He doesn't say sorry or apologize because he's
doesn't
mute.
Speak.
He is mute. And even then, how many times do you bump into someone and they don't say shit? Does that mean you get to take out your gun? Does that mean you get to...
But no. You're not allowed to bring guns into Costco, but because he was an off-duty cop, he was allowed to have his gun on there. But then how's he end up using the whole entire situation? What would have happened in that situation if he didn't have his gun on there? He would have had to handle it like an adult.
Like everybody else. Oh, no, you're going to have to wait an extra 10 seconds for the free food.
So in the weeks that have passed, the LAPD has closed ranks. They didn't arrest him. They
didn't announce who he was. They kept his identity very, very quiet, but had no problem talking about this family as if they were awful.
Does that old lady look like she was a threat? After you shot the two men, you needed to blast her in the back too? Like, that to me is the nail in the coffin here, that this was sheer anger. This is a rage shooting. Like, fine.
This is someone who should never even have the right to get a gun, let alone be saying that he's going to tell everyone else what is the appropriate way to act in society and hold up laws.
Let's say you did feel intimidated by that big 32-year-old mentally challenged adult. You don't think once you pulled that gun, you've got the upper hand? You've got the situation under control there? You just started to blast away? So anyway, in the weeks that have come here, hasn't been arrested. He's on paid administrative leave. And oh, by the way, they're refusing to release the footage, and they've already acknowledged there's parts of the footage that seem to be missing or didn't get covered. Coincidentally, guess what part that is? The cop falling to the ground.
Which, that's going to have to go down to the witnesses that were there. Everyone else that was around is going to have to take their word for it, for what actually happened, because he has every reason to lie. And that's exactly what he did. I feared for my life. In Costco, you're the one with the gun, asshole.
Yeah.
How in the hell do you say you ever fear for your life when you're the one with the gun?
The longer and longer this goes on, the more and more it looks like they're just waiting for it to go away. And then just put him right back on the force and not talk about it ever again. The national press isn't really getting onto it. The media kind of just keeps updating people on the health of the family. They've got an attorney that's starting to push it through and is going to fight for this whole thing. But they refuse to address the situation, and it's still under investigation. You got video of the situation. Watch it, make a ruling, tell the people what the hell happened, because the longer this goes on, it looks bad.
Okay, so
some of these coughs that won't go away.
Yeah, this is the air conditioning coughs that we were dealing with last week, the cough and cold.
Oh, come on!
Figured out it was from the fires last year. We should have had everything just cleaned.
All right.
Okay, on to the next thing, because we have quite a few topics, and this one is my turn. So, guy is Kip Perdue. The girl is Sarah Scott. This has just come out today, that SAG has finally given their ruling on his bad behavior. I'm going to tell you what their punishment is, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what he did. SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, gave him a $6,000 fine, or he can pay $3,000 fine and take a 90-day program as punishment for forcing Sarah Scott, when they were on a television pilot, to touch his penis during a sex scene and then later masturbated in front of her in the dressing room.
What is with these dudes wanting to masturbate in front of people that don't want to see it? What is that?
So she did file a report with the police, and then she went to SAG. She didn't go to the producers of the show because it was a pilot. The likelihood that anything would happen doesn't matter, but it would reflect badly on her. If anything, because he had more name notoriety, she would have been replaced, and it would have just gone away. So she went to SAG, because according to the union rules, as a member, you have to treat everyone who's also a member, everyone on set, every production, with equal respect, without assault and without sexual harassment. He broke the agreement. In a union, you have a right to have someone defend you and make sure this kind of crap doesn't happen, especially from fellow union members. They decided that it was a slap on the wrist. Yes, they believed her. Yes, she had other people who were able to come and say that they saw beforehand.
Especially from
Wow. Kris is checking.
I was checking the chats.
Sorry about that, everybody.
We got a bunch of people in the chats watching. Our chats aren't working this week too well, so I wanted to...
Okay. So, anyway, SAG decided that this was going to be his punishment. They announced it, and then they also said that, well, we would have done something a little harsher, but he hasn't had any other complaints, and if people want to come forward who actually have been, all the way up to 5 years ago. Anything before that doesn't count. But up to 5 years ago, you can go ahead and tell more about it. And so, another actress who read about this in October when Sarah Scott spoke with one of the newspapers, local newspapers out here, and said what had happened, how she went about making the complaint. It's in the middle of the Me Too movement stuff. Of course, all of these stories were coming up, and people kind of just got bored with how many things were coming out. Fellow actress Andrea Bogart, who acted with Kip on Ray Donovan as his wife, read about that and heard the guild was, it's not that big of a deal if it's just one woman saying this happened to her. So Andrea went back and she also made her complaint against him. This one was a little bit more serious. While they were shooting, they were preparing to shoot a pretty racy foursome sex scene with Hank Azaria and Sherilyn Fenn. After blocking the scene, in which Bogart was wearing pasties and fish wire underwear, don't even get me started on the fact that someone thought this was an important scene.
Why are they blocking in that outfit?
Blocking.
Why? I understand why they're blocking. Why are they blocking nude?
In the outfits?
Yeah,
because
like
as
basically
she's
nude.
moving around, they need to know what will or will not work. Either way, how important was the scene really? Because I'm going to guess it wasn't a female written script and it's not a female directed episode. But whatever. Let's keep saying that this is all important to the plot. Fucking men.
The show you were watching the other day? The show you were watching the other day that might as well have been a porno?
We will talk about Tales of the City on Netflix.
That's some bad tales.
We will talk about that too. I am not a fan of the gratuitous sex because you want to have an almost porn and you know you're going to get eyes for it, but that doesn't help your freaking story and it doesn't make your actors any safer. And this is exactly how. After blocking the scene in which she was stuck wearing pasties and fish wire underwear, the actress returned to her trailer. That's when she told the Times, Pardue knocked on her door and asked if he could come in. Normal thing for actors to want to give each other notes, to go over something, to have any questions, to just discuss what they're just dealing with. So he comes in, and then out of left field, he starts talking about how crazy the scene is, and unbuttoning his pants, Bogart said. He pulls out his genitalia, starts rubbing himself. She remembers just covering her face and being like, "What are you doing?" She was embarrassed and in utter shock. She said that Purdue then asked her to touch him, which she declined to do. And then she said he asked her to touch herself. Again, she declined. She urged him to leave and go to his own trailer, which he eventually did. She considered reporting the behavior to the producers, but was worried about her career being ruined. And this is the exact mentality that makes so many men get away with it. This is her exact thing. I was still climbing and grinding away, and this was my first part on a popular show. I didn't trust that it wouldn't do negative things for me, she said. Like, are they going to think I invited him into my trailer? I just wanted it to go away as quickly as possible.
And the thing is, that's exactly why he thought he could get away with it. Because it's her first real role. She's not.
He's been in other things,
and she's gonna think she needs to do it. Oh, I'm supposed to be with the star.
And the fact that he was in her trailer, it made it seem like she somehow had something to do with this. Because how would he ever push himself on someone? Where the hell is this gross out trend coming from of dudes deciding to become flashers? And not even flashers. Like, there used to be that hilarious in the 80s, like, they wear a trench coat and like, you'd see it on cartoons as a gross thing that guys...
some shame of someone catching you masturbating.
Dude!
Like, I'm not saying it's wrong to masturbate.
Herman lost a lot of career for that bullshit. But now guys are just doing that openly, like pushing their sexuality onto other people. Where did that trend come from? That is as gross as assaulting someone. That is assaulting them. Ugh. So, I want to know, what do you think would be the appropriate punishment? Like, obviously, what SAG gave him, $6,000 fine, or a $3,000 fine in a 90-day class.
I think the appropriate sentence would be to remove his SAG privilege and make him earn it again. If people,
he gets to earn it again?
Well, no, I didn't say he gets to earn it again.
He gets the opportunity.
Who's going to give him the opportunity? And if they do,
it's a boy's world.
Then that says even more. But if the market handles itself like it should, and the industry actually truly stands to the principles they claim they're moving towards, then people aren't going to want to bring that type of character around their production set, and he won't be able to earn his way back. But SAG doesn't have to be accused of putting a death sentence on somebody. If you can find a sucker to recast you into stuff enough to be SAG eligible, we'll reconsider your submission. But that's on the industry to determine and block you out. We simply just pulled your SAG card for inappropriate behavior on a SAG production. We'll let the market now determine how much more severe that punishment needs to be. Because you can't get into being judge, jury, and executioner without a legal process. So pulling the SAG card for inappropriate conduct is a fair response that has the ability to be much more severe if people stand by their own moral codes.
I wanted to go a step further. I don't even want him being able to work in non-union stuff, because then he has even more power.
Well, theoretically...
Like, so much more power, because now he's your distribution.
You still have to allow for a free market. If
yeah.
Let me finish.
There's a market for it.
Let me finish. If somebody wants to hire a pedophile on their production, it's a horrible, dangerous, reckless decision, but they're literally free to do so. That's their name, reputation, and destruction that they're doing. And ideally, if it's a known pedophile, they're not going to get anybody else to work on their production. So that's an extreme example. But if this guy is a poison apple now, and you really want to hire him on your production, go for it. But ideally, enough people know who he is now and what he did in the conduct, they're not going to want to work on that production. So good luck trying to get a production together that has any sort of value and meaning if you really are that committed to, I need to have Kip Purdue in my show. It's the fairest way without becoming a dictatorial society where people don't have the path and ability to redeem themselves.
Some things are not redeemable.
You're right.
Especially when you show a pattern of behavior.
Some things are not redeemable.
You don't get to get a second chance because you've already had it.
Some things are not redeemable, but it's not up to you, I, or any individual to sit here and dictate where that line is of what's redeemable. It's up to society to dictate that. So ideally, society is the collection of people that would collaborate on a project. Society is the group of people that would support or watch a product that now has this person in it. That is the collective decision that what you did was wrong. If you somehow find a way to convince society or enough people that you're a better person and whatever, then to some extent you should have a second chance. Like there has to be a second chance, because then what do we do with this? We can't take Australia back and use it as a prison continent where we just, ship them to Australia. So there has to be, short of just killing every single person that makes a despicable moral decision, which, I mean, there is a line where that needs to happen, but
there is an industry for them.
Jerking off like a monkey in front of somebody should not be a death sentence.
You just don't get to be in normal entertainment industry. You have to go into porn.
And again, ideally...
No, you're forced into porn. The only way you get to act is in porn, because you don't know how to keep yourself to yourself. And the women in porn will freaking laugh at you and make you feel...
That's not fair to say somebody else should be subjected to that just because of the industry they're in. That's not appropriate either. The point of the matter is...
They're used to seeing men touch themselves.
You have to let the market dictate that level of punishment. In other words, you are the judiciary system.
Is the amount $6,000 large enough?
I don't think money should have anything to do with it. Like I said, you take away a SAG card, you're taking a lot more than $6,000 out of a working actor's pocket. So, but putting a number on it, there's not going to be any appropriate number for that type of despicable action. And speaking of despicable action, let's move on to the Pandora's box of all despicable actions.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, anyone that's ever watched an episode of Gratcast, like pretty much before Gratcast came about, I've been screaming this dude's name from the rooftops. When this dude got his sweetheart deal in the early
2008.
2008, now you can find it on my Facebook page. I was screaming from the rooftops. Are you freaking...
And do you remember who the judge was? And do you know where the judge is now?
That's not the judge. It's the district attorney that freaking engineered the whole sweetheart deal. His name's Acosta, and he's now the head of the labor secretary or whatever. The point of the matter is, this guy's been the linchpin to everything since it came out 15 years ago. And so some of you guys may just be hearing this name, Jeffrey Epstein, for the first time in recent days since he's been arrested. He's accused of sex trafficking minors. He's been known, it's been an inside joke for decades that he's got a plane called the Lolita Express, where foreign dignitaries, presidents, politicians, all these people go on there and statutory rape little girls on the Lolita Express. The flight log is literally a who's who of where to start going after the global pedophile network. And more to the point, he's got an island that's known as Pedophile Island that they go to. They all party on. And this is not...
And when he says they, friends such as...
Bill Clinton's got 26 round-trip flights on the Lolita Express. He's
as well as Donald Trump.
Actually...
Yes.
No, it's... Like, listen, I'm not a...
Donald Trump, in 2002 to the New York Magazine. I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and much of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Yes. Jeffrey enjoys his social life.
Hold up. He was also... Hold up. Allow there to be balanced facts here. Listen, anyone that's associated with this, and if evidence comes out and brings them down, bring every last one of them down. Absolutely. But you have to still allow for all the information here. Here is other information. And if anything, this all proves that he certainly knew all of this stuff. So back when that quote was made, in that same time period, it has also been previously reported that Jeffrey Epstein was a friend of one of his members of his club at that point in time. So his shot, many are taking as a reminder and a threat that he knew exactly what Jeffrey Epstein was. Why? Because Trump held him accountable back then for propositioning one of his members' younger daughters and barred him from the club. Never allowed to be anywhere around the premises. So he knew what he was. And whose administration tore this whole thing back open and is going after him? So you got to give the benefit of the doubt there on that sense. There's other evidence that ties him to this, and a claim from 2016 when he was running for office that's absolutely despicable and horrendous. And if there's any meat on those bones, they've got to clean all of this shit out. But the point of the matter is, this dude has been the linchpin and the rat's nest extraordinaire. The person, like, it's being reported that all on his plane, in his New York City mansion, in his ranch out here in the West, in Florida, on his island, there was cameras everywhere. The reason he did this for so long and got away with it for so long is because of all the blackmail and information and the evidence he has on so many freaking people. Which, if he does, the real question here becomes, how many is he going to take down with him? And we better... This is my greatest fear.
Or how quickly is this all just going to go away?
That's my fear. And this is the thing, though.
On a technicality that they'll invent. Or someone will pass a law to make it a technicality. This is the thing, though. They already arrested this dude, swept him under the rug, gave him a sweetheart deal. You don't reopen this Pandora's box unless you are absolutely ready to follow it every single place it goes. No matter where that is. And the reason for that is the climate and the culture you're reopening this Pandora's box isn't the one from 2008 and 9 where you got away with this and only the people that are really looking for this type of information knew about it and were outraged about it. People like me that were screaming on Facebook and nobody wanted to listen to us because it was nasty words like pedophile. So now everyone's more sensitive, aware. There's a whole lot of pedophile, ugly, horrible shit going on in this world, and the regular folks are starting to pay attention to it. So now that they know
what this dude did and what he got away with and what's going on, you can't sweep this under the rug again and think people are just going to let it go this time. Like, you will have...
Isn't he connected to Weinstein?
Oh, yeah. The whole Democratic Party. Hold up.
Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein was one of the top political donors of the Democratic Party.
Politics.
Yeah,
I was talking
well, you were. You brought up the president, for Christ's sake. And on top of that...
I was talking entertainment.
On top of that, Jeffrey Epstein is on record in previous interviews claiming that he co-founded the Clinton Foundation. Who, oh, by the way, has had sex trafficking allegations surrounding them forever, especially since Haiti.
There we go.
So again, the biggest thing on all of this stuff is you can't open this Pandora's box if you're not taking it all the way to the end of the road on it. Andrew, the guy's got pictures with everybody. Like the biggest one is Prince Andrew. There's the 2,000 pages of this entire court case that was buried in 2008 or 9 is going to get released in the coming weeks. The names that are in that information, the testimony that is in that information is going to terrify people. You already have Nancy Pelosi's daughter coming out and saying, hey, everybody, we should get ready for some of our faves to go down in this situation. Our faves? Really? We're going to use pet names when we're talking about... How about we should get prepared for some of our colleagues to be wrapped up and brought down in this? Some of these people that we trusted and respected. Our faves? That's still the word you're using when you know they're about to go down? It's disgusting, the nonchalance with all of this, because they already knew. Just like Harvey, they already knew. You know now, and that's why they're finally doing something about it.
Speaking of, that kind of links us straight into one of the projects you've been trying to get off the ground or been slowly developing. So
the backstory on Just Drive. Now, in July, we're talking about all the different creative content that is under the Gratwick universe and the extended universe. This all basically started with Just Drive. After we made the perfect house, we kind of went into a dark place. We were really disenfranchised by all the shit, slime, and scum that we waded through on the distribution and business side of the industry. And it left me really disenfranchised. Then the result was writing this script about a Hollywood whistleblower that escapes an attempt on his life, slips out of LA in the middle of the night, and ends up in the back of a limo trying to figure out who sold him out and who he can't trust as the night plays out like a 21st century OJ chase, culminating in this decision where he has to decide whether he wants to sacrifice his legacy and step out of this limo alive, or whether he wants to go down in flames for what he truly believes in. And this story is the inciting incident for the entire expanded universe and everything that comes after it and what follows from all of that, what he's trying to blow the whistle on. And this stuff was written in, again, 2014, 2015, back when none of y'all wanted to pay attention to all this crazy, horrible shit going on in the world. This was how my way of doing my part and telling people and exposing to people how it happens, how the industry can pressure you and break you and get you to sacrifice your moral code just for your own life, and how standing up for yourself can leave you on the outside with nobody left in your corner. And as the world's changed around us, this story's become more and more relevant. I've built an entire corporation around getting this story made because everyone that read it, they'd read this. This is great. This is one of the best scripts I've ever written in Hollywood. This shit hits way too close to home for me. We had an actor at one point. The actor that posed for these pictures wanted to help us develop it, wanted this to be his breakout role. He was doing guest starring roles in TV. And he saw this as his crossover opportunity to be a leading man in movies. So he wanted to help us develop it up and get it made. And over the course of working together over a couple months, I'm like, you got to take this to your people. You got to get your people on board. This can go to the next level once your people are on board. Oh, don't worry about them. Don't worry about them. If they're not on board, I'll find new people. There's always more new people in this industry. This is the project I want to do. Finally takes it to his people. What happens? No way in hell are you doing this script. If you do this script, Anonymous will come and wipe you from the internet. If you do this script, you'll never work again in Hollywood. They completely manipulated him and terrified him into doing their wishes, mainly because they wanted to keep him on the gravy train of primetime television appearances and all of that, because that was a faster, easier turnover and more money for them than a little indie project that was going to take him off the calendar for a period of time, but also because of the undertones and all of that. The irony of this script hitting too close to home with his representatives was they acted exactly like the representative in the story by manipulating the talent into going the way that they wanted him to go to suit their agenda, not his best interests. And it was just mind-blowing to me watching my story literally play out with the person that I thought would be perfect for the role and the opportunity. So that's when I really truly realized we need to build a studio system that can support movies like this, that can handle the marketing, finance, and distribution of movies like this. Of movies the system doesn't want to be told, but it still needs to be told in the way the professional system works if it's being unbiased to the story. So Gratwick Productions has rose from the ashes to exist all around this story, to be that infrastructure, to be that turnkey studio for my story, her story, anyone else's stories that they want to tell without any kind of pollution, dilution, or filtering of the purity of the message that you want to tell. And that's this week's project that we're sharing with everything. That's the tip of the iceberg for the Gratwick Expanded Universe.
That's Kris's baby for the movie. The book would be The Hallowed that we discussed last week, and movie would be Just Drive. But with that, he has an entire universe where literally Just Drive is just like the tip of the iceberg. And then there's all these other things that go along with it that you could have yourself a nice long time of just consuming content and fully understanding what is happening throughout the entire world of it.
It's an expanded universe that ultimately could compete with the Star Wars, the Marvels, the DCs, but it's not based in a superhero world. The heroes in this universe are the regular people. We will be the heroes is one of the slogans of the show, of one of the shows in the series. And the overriding theme of this universe is extreme social accountability. The justice in that world that we can't get in this world, or hopefully we're going to be getting in this world. And because of the fact it's grounded in an alternate interpretation of our own reality, everything's in play. Every genre, every type of storyline, it can all be fit into this world. From sci-fi to horror to romance to comedy, it's all in there. And we're going to be talking about all of this different type of content and how it fits into the universe more over the rest of July.
Right now, though, we're going to get over into M's Corner.
It's finally time for M's Corner.
We told her we'd have her on at 45 minutes in, so we're like 15 minutes late, and she's ahead of us in time. So I'm hoping she just got my message.
We're getting into big stuff here. We got to dive deep into that. And hopefully everything will work with our connection here, and we'll be bringing Emily in for another big topic that I'm excited to discuss with her as well, which is, what do you do when you're collaborating on a project and you have a different moral code or a different belief system than the person that you're collaborating with? How do you balance that act? And you brought our next scene up here a little too soon, dear.
Not too soon.
You got us in picture
We're letting
in picture.
everyone know. What do you mean we're in picture in picture?
Yeah, see, I got the little guy version of me there.
Yeah.
In the corner.
I love that. You think that he's the version
No,
of
not
you.
that guy.
Oh.
Not that guy.
How'd we do that? That's cute.
Because
I
Emily
like
hasn't
that.
popped
That's
up
adorable.
in front of that yet.
Oh.
So
That's adorable, though. What do you guys think of that?
Just take off grid.
There we go.
Yeah, that works. Yep. So hopefully.
So once Emily calls in, and
I see her on the eyeball here.
she is trying to connect. Well, how about this? I have a bullet blitz.
Uh-oh.
And mine goes along.
I'll save that bullet blitz for the right time segment. We've got Emily for Emily's Corner.
Do we have Emily?
No.
I think I see Emily!
Hey, can you hear us?
Can you see me?
Everything worked right first time out of the gate. I knew this was going to be the Gratcast. Independence Day has freed Gratcast. The Emily, welcome to the show in the proper situation. You've got your little Emily's Corner under your chin. You've got your Twitter handle above your head. We're ready to rock and roll. How was your 4th of July?
It was good. Did a barbecue at my brother's house.
Nice. What was the meat of choice for the barbecue?
Hot dogs and burgers.
An American staple. Can't go wrong. So do you guys have like a local hot dog brand? Like in Buffalo, we've got Salins, and everybody's pretty serious and passionate on the Salins hot dogs. Do you guys got a specific, or you just go ballparks?
I personally like the cheap kind. I don't really care for the real beef. But I think everyone just goes with like the ballpark hot dogs.
All right.
Do you know which ones are really good? The ones that have cheese inside them. Like, they're like the Oscar Mayer, but they have the cheese. Like the ones that you get for kids. Those are amazing. And that's from someone who doesn't like meat. But I will eat those because it's not real meat.
Really meat.
Exactly. It's not real meat. It's all like ground up, so it's paste. Whatever. But with cheese in there. Yeah.
Okay, Emily, so I'm going to set you up here for our topic, and then I'm going to turn it over to you to get your thoughts and kind of do a little back and forth on this. So the thing that brought this topic up recently is you were talking to us in the Discord chat about the fact your
new role.
Yep, you've got a new role, which we want to hear about. But the question has come up, what do you do when you're collaborating with someone that has kind of a different belief system than you do, and how do you balance that tightrope? So why don't you tell us a little bit more? You don't have to use any names or anybody, but kind of how this dynamic is before you.
So, a few years back, I think back in, when would it have been? I think 2012, my brother and I auditioned for something called Skull Sketches. And it was this friend of ours, well, he's a friend now, he wasn't then, wanted to create like a skit show. And so me and him auditioned, and we ended up getting parts. And we became friends with like this group, this acting group of people. And so our friend has created several different movies lately, and he's put them out on film festivals. He just recently got back from Las Vegas for one of his movies. And so he's making a new movie. And he asked me to be the star in it. Usually I was just like a background character, and, behind the scenes, like behind the character.
Of course. They need everyone to fill the space. Make it look real. So you're going to be the star of this one.
Right.
Is it a short film? Is it a full-length film? How
It's
big
a
is the
short film.
script?
He said it's going to run about 20 minutes.
Okay.
And
are you in every scene?
Huh?
Are you in every scene?
I am.
Oh, crap in a hat. That's a lot to memorize.
It's all centered around my character.
Okay.
So basically, the premise of the story is that my character we're in the South, and your typical redneck hillbilly kind of people, and I'm not supposed to like be all mentally there either.
Okay.
Like I'm not Forrest Gump or anything, but I'm not all there.
All right.
Those were his words too.
You're
How to describe
special.
it. Not Forrest Gump,
but just like one brick shy of a load. Not like 3 bricks shy, but just like one. There's like a, oh, bless your heart. Okay.
Exactly. So the premise of the story is I'm walking around town and I find a dead guy.
Okay.
And
I see a dead body.
I decide to take him home and pretty much make him my boyfriend.
Okay.
I get him clean clothes. I comb out his hair. I clean him up and do things.
All right. He's your boyfriend. You prop him in the way in which you would like him to be forever. Gotcha.
And so I'm really, it's kind of like a dark comedy. And I'm excited to be a part of it. You know, it's going to be my first lead role in a long time. But there are a couple of scenes that I'm a little nervous and anxious about.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
So.
Well, my first question is, with it being a short and I'm going to guess a kind of indie, small town, tiny budget type situation, do you have some say-so in what your limitations are and what you're willing to do? Because again, you're not exactly getting paid the big bucks here with SAG protection, or I guess that doesn't help these days with Kipperson out there, whatever his name is.
Well, luckily, there was one thing I absolutely would not have wanted to do, and that is a sex scene.
Yeah.
And so, right before we had our first table read, I texted him and I go, look, this has been on my mind for a long time since you told me you wanted me to be a part of this. I'm like, I need to know, you said you might add a sex scene. What did you decide? And he said, it's implied, but not shown.
So it's in the dialogue, or is it like you're exiting the bedroom and putting on the robe, like putting your arm in the robe and tying it?
Also,
it's never on screen. It's just the.
It could also be like shoulders up of you, like if you're straddling somebody in a bed, but there's not really anybody but you on your knees on the bed, and they're shooting from your shoulders up. That could be an implied.
Yeah, luckily it's not that, because that to me still would have been no.
Well, if there's no other actor in the scene and it's not showing anything of you, it's just like your neck up.
Right. Well, what it says in the script anyway is that I lay my head on the guy's chest.
Okay.
And I notice he has rigor mortis.
Gotcha.
And I do my best Sulu impression, and I go, "Oh my!" and then to my father in the living room, and he's asleep, and you can hear, as the script says, orgasmic sounds.
So it's not even a creaking sound. They want you to make vocal noises, as opposed to knowing that your father's asleep. You would be quiet. For one, even if it was a live man, let alone if your dad walked in on you with a dead dude.
Sounds like there's
But there's no creaking going to be happening where you hear like the headboard.
Sounds like there's some Weekend at Bernie's in here.
So I'm a little nervous about making noises. But the two things that I'm a little worried about, because I have no experience, is I have two kissing scenes. One is with the dead guy, and the other is with, they're both technically alive, but one is with, like, a neighbor.
Okay, so that actually answers one of my questions. I was going to say, is the corpse an actual actor, or is it like they have a dummy body that they're just... Like, they're not going to ever have a really close-up on it, so it'll just be the body, or is it an actual actor you have to deal with?
No, it's an actual actor.
That sucks.
Yeah.
So they're going to make him not breathe while you're putting your head on his chest. He has to literally hold his breath and not move even a little bit, because it's going to be such a close-up. You can see that.
Right.
Wow.
Being Bernie in Weekend at Bernie's is the greatest casting role ever.
Huh.
No lines to memorize, nothing. You got sunglasses on the whole time. You just get dragged around the whole set and get paid for it.
So you kiss both of them?
This guy's got the best role.
So you kiss both of them?
So you kiss both of them.
So You kiss both of the guys then.
I do. And the one with the dead guy, I'm not. I'm nervous as hell. But
well, that's the easy one because he's just going to be a dead fish there, so you can't do anything wrong.
Like, actually, he can't do anything. That is the best part, is you don't have to worry about any weird reaction he has where his lips move or his tongue suddenly darts in your mouth, because that's...
It's basically CPR practice.
Like, if he can keep his lips in one spot, is it before or after you realize there's rigor mortis? Because that would actually make his lips not move either. So there could be a way around it where you, like, do, like, a peck kind of thing, but his mouth can't open because its jaw's already, like, locked. So you save yourself on that one. Or is it before?
It kind of seems like it's a peck, but, like, a long peck. In the script, it says, like, I push in his cheeks so his lips purse out, and then I kiss him.
Okay.
So that one, I'm not too nervous. It's just because I haven't done it before that I'm nervous. The other one is a little more action-y. And according to my friend, because, you know, I always thought, like I said, this is like my first huge movie role. And I asked my friend, I'm like, so is this like a movie kiss? I'm like, because I thought it was a whole different thing, a movie kiss and like a real kiss.
They are.
And he goes, no, you're just gonna, you're just gonna be kissing him. And I'm like, isn't there a thing called movie kiss? And he goes, no.
Andrea?
There are ways in which you can do it where you're not supposed to have your tongue in anyone else's mouth. That's like the very first and foremost no. And so when you see it on like movies or shows where like their mouths open and then you see someone start to go, ugh, no, that's not supposed to happen. No. And that's just like fucking Kip Pardue deciding because they're doing a sex scene that he can force you to like touch his wiener because you're not going to scream out and stop the shot. No. So there is a way where it's supposed to look like you're making out more. But you kind of mentioned it where it's the lip lock. Like one person's lip is in the middle and you're either holding on to someone's upper lip or lower lip. Like that's the way it's going to be. It's like, like that, and it's more...
Like a Lego?
You look like you're almost eating someone's face, but you do it trying to remember. It's supposed to look kind of romantic.
Like a tongue and groove?
Yeah, like a tongue and groove kind of thing. Like,
but no
goes
tongue.
Like that. But no tongue, because your lips stay, so your teeth are still locked. Like, not freaking happening. But there shouldn't be an exchange of spit. Like, there should not be any of that. But there are sometimes very mean actors who take advantage, and they, as we've been warned in theater, people get worked up. When you're about to do something, your adrenaline starts pumping, and that's why the rule of no tongue ever. Because if you even have a little where it's planned, someone can get a little too involved, and suddenly there's tongue down the throat. There's you see a tongue in someone's cheek. Like, no. It shouldn't be done. No. And if he tries to do that, like, is your character supposed to like it? Like, is this something that you're into? Or are you supposed to be taken by surprise?
So, how it goes is my character is a big fan of, like, romance novels. And so she dreams, and I come into some money. And so, like, I've always had my character's had a crush on this guy for, like, ever. So I'm like, here's $20, take off your shirt. And so they see it, and remember, I'm not fully mentally there, so they see this as, we can get all of our money.
Is this a daydream, or is this real?
This is happening.
Okay, so this isn't like you're sitting there looking out the window and suddenly it goes hazy, and this is you going, I'll toss you money, keep taking it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so... they're like, so they keep giving me, like, oh, you know, you can do this if for another $20 or whatever, because they're taking advantage of me because I'm not, you know, fully there. Yeah. And so then my character is supposed to lean in for a kiss, and the guy is supposed to make it rougher and as tinier as the script says, rougher and tonguier is all it says.
Okay.
And so I'm not sure how that's going to go.
Hopefully that's done as a cutaway with him coming at the camera with his mouth open and tongue
That's
out.
what I was just going to say. A lot of that could depend on the angle in which they're going to shoot. Because if they shoot profile, then he wants to see that disgusting part where he opens his mouth and kind of forces his tongue between... Which, even then, if you're not expecting it and you're kind of slow, you can get away with having an actual reaction of almost pulling away. Because if she doesn't understand it,
I'm supposed to, my character ends up backing away because it's not what she expected. It's not how the romance novel is.
Yeah.
So she does end up backing away and running away.
Does she push him?
No, she just kind of backs away.
You just have to make sure you talk.
Face mush him.
You just have to make sure that you're open and clear about where your boundaries are before you do it, with both the actor and the director on that, and don't budge on where your boundaries are. Don't negotiate and let them keep trying to move the line of what you're comfortable with because it's the day of and we got to get this now and I'll just be real quick. Just know where your comfort zone is and be very clear and communicative about it.
They can easily do the shot of you leaning in for the kiss, in that sweet little 16-year-old way that it's gonna be the first one. It's gonna be all woohoo, pretty in pink, and then they do the shot from your point of view of him coming in aggressive as all get out, so you don't even actually have to have it happen because it's more your reaction after, from your point of view of you pulling away and everything. There are ways to do it, but I totally say you want to talk to the director before you include the other actors doing it.
I talked because the director is my friend, the one that did the skull sketches to begin with and stuff, and he's the one I'm what kind of, and he says it's a real kiss, and I've seen his other movies, I was a part of them. I know that he's going to want an actual it to be seen.
Is this the same person that you were talking about in the Discord that had kind of the different Facebook posts and stuff that you didn't quite agree with?
He's playing the dead guy.
Okay, so he's the one you have to kiss, but he's not the one you have to talk to about all this.
Right.
Okay.
Which is a little bit better.
Yeah, the one that has the post I wasn't too fond of is the dead guy. So I still have to kiss him, but luckily he has to keep his mouth shut.
You're eyes shut, mouth shut. You're dead, dude. Just lay there. You're a glorified CPR model.
So then let me ask you to start this short conversation. Say it was the creator, and they did have very different beliefs that were maybe, in your opinion, extreme or ridiculous, or something you just didn't kind of agree with in principle. How would you feel about that, and how would that change your perception of the opportunity?
I don't know. It's hard. I've actually, before we did our Taylor read, before we had the script going, I was going back and forth on being a part of it anyway, just because I don't. I really don't know one thing is I was more concerned about my own acting ability and if I would be capable of even doing it. And then just when he said he might do the sex scene, that was a big no for me. And then so I kept going back and forth on whether or not I wanted to do it or not.
Here's one thing to remember. If you don't feel comfortable, then just say that. Because that is the most important thing, and that should be the most important thing on every set, is that every single person feels comfortable and is having fun. If he's pushing you to a level. It isn't helping you become a better actor. It's literally making you not want to be an actor. If someone pushes you to the point where you don't feel comfortable, where part of you actually is kind of concerned and you get that like cold feeling in your chest, no, it's not you growing. It's your animal instinct saying, no, this will not make you feel good later.
This question was more in a hypothetical situation about a hypothetical opportunity that you had ideological differences with the person that created the project or is the director of the project. How is that something that's a deal breaker for you in that creative sense? How would you handle that type of situation?
I don't think it's a deal breaker. As long as like while we're filming, they're not trying to like throw their, shove their views down everyone's throat. I don't think, because someone's political views or whatever kind of views, it could be different than how they act professionally. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it would have stopped me from being in the film. As long as like they kept themselves professional and kept it out of kept it out of work.
Okay, let's go around the room here, Andrea. What about you? If you had ideological differences with the creator of a project, would that affect your willingness to be in the project?
It honestly depends on what those differences would be. If it's the treatment of women and how things should be done, their sense of humor about it, and it's not a bit. No, I'm not working with you. Like, I don't care if you're paying my rent. I don't care. No. It's like bad people don't get to. Having a different viewpoint doesn't make you bad, but when your viewpoint is accepting that other people are going to be less than you as an equal in any way, I don't need to be around you. And that can go politically, religiously, that any possible way you want to do it, nah. I don't need that, and I don't encourage it, and you don't get my attention when you do that.
So, for me, it comes down to the person's individual character and how they actually interact and engage with people. Because I feel like in this day and age, almost everybody's got some sort of bizarre, extreme political beliefs or religious beliefs or those type of things. And for the most part, the everyday people aren't the one executing those agendas or those belief systems or those politics. It's the politicians or the religious leaders and all those. These people are just like reciting and repeating the talking points of their favorite party or religious structure. But if you're out there oppressing people or actually calling people horrible names and racist or sexist or misogynistic names, and you're actually engaging with people like that in public, I'm not going to tolerate that and be around you and all that type of stuff.
Do you consider public social media also? If you go to their Facebook page and see that they're liking certain things, they're reposting things with their own comment on it, that you are just, wow, would not have known because I've worked beside you and you don't ever talk about it, but woo!
I would treat social media as twofold. If it's a general stupid post that's, again, not like profiling any type of demographic, whatever, you're just expressing your stupid opinion. But if you're going out there in the comments section, like executing that opinion and fighting tooth and nail back and forth with people, you're going to end up using the verbiage and language of the type of shit that I wouldn't want to hear you telling somebody in my presence either way. So where the gray line comes into that I think is interesting is like the show that I'm doing with State of Mind and David Stay. Mm-hmm. Like he's a huge flat earther. And to me, it's borderline ridiculous, but I'm willing enough to consider it because, like, either one, you're going to get stomped down with the truth and you're going to look foolish anyway, or two, like, people are going to be threatened by this information and you got something there. Either way, like, it's not really hurting anybody if you think the earth is flat and this person thinks it's a square and it's a cube. But, like, if you're now starting wars...
Now we're saying it's a cube?
To advance the flat earth agenda, now I got a problem. But, like, maybe maybe he's crazy, maybe he's got a point, maybe it's whatever, but what I know is the way this person talks to other people and engages with people, they have good character, and they're not telling that somebody else has to believe in flat earth, or believe in purple dinosaurs, or believe in Zulu, or whatever the shit is. He wants people to still think for themselves. This is just what happens to be his eccentric thoughts. So it really, the character of how they engage with people is what would be the deciding factor for me.
All right.
Okay. Emily, do you have anything happening this week? Anything looking forward to for next week's Emily's Corner that we can put on a tee?
This Saturday is Crypticon.
Oh.
So get to meet a bunch of celebrities.
Nice.
Hey, if
Very fun.
you get some good pictures and stuff like that, send it to us before the show, and we can pull up the pictures and put them on screen and talk about them and that
Are you making any special shirt?
During Emily's Corner.
Remember for the RDR2 you had that special shirt that you made for that Comic-Con. Are you making one for this one?
Right. I don't know yet. There's a bunch of them that I'm excited to see. Heather Langenkamp, Tobin Bell, Shawnee Smith, Jake Busey is going to be there.
If you
Jake Busey.
If you want to record any kind of like cell phone video or anything, like even you talking to the camera or something like that, do kind of like a little remote reporter from Crypticon, we can include that in Monday's episode as well and get kind of a special Emily's report from Crypticon.
That would be awesome.
All right, look, consider it while you're wandering around. Emily, thank you for joining us this week and partaking in some serious topics.
Congratulations on the new role.
Absolutely.
I am sure you're going to do an amazing job on it. Just remember, you are the one who decides what you do.
Know.
Yes.
I'll have to let you guys know. Filming, we're only filming 2 days, and it's the last 2 Saturdays of July. So.
Oh wow.
So
we'll get 2 weeks of reports on Emily's Corner.
Exactly.
Awesome.
We like behind the scenes pictures too. We like that. Take pictures on set. Yes.
All right, Emily. Have a great night, and we will talk to you next week for Emily's Corner. We're going to string some in a row here now that we got the technology together.
Awesome. Thank you, Emily. All right. And we have our bullet blitzes.
Yes.
So no questions from Discord this week. It was 4th of July. Whatever. People are busy. We can't ask them every week to be giving us questions. We're gonna
Unless some more people start joining us on Discord and asking questions.
Oh.
Right down there's the Discord invite.
Right there.
You can get behind the curtain, everything that's going on. It's a good time before we're setting up the bullet blitzes here to say please like, subscribe, follow, whatever platform you're watching us on. We started on Mixer tonight, dear.
What's that?
Mixer is kind of like the Twitch competitor, except they also do podcasts and stuff as well on there, where Twitch is just primarily gaming. So
are we not on Twitch?
No, we're not on Twitch anymore because...
sorry if anyone is normally watching us on Twitch and just found us on Facebook or YouTube and...
Mixer, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope/Twitter is where we're live. So, Andrea?
Hello, everybody.
You are first with the bullet blitzes.
Bullet Blitz. Keanu Reeves has been getting a lot of props lately for the pictures he's been taking with his fans. He does something that is being noticed and appreciated. Open hands. They come in for a hug. He keeps his hands like this. He doesn't put them around. He doesn't... No. The girls, women, they can wrap themselves all around him. These women grab tight. You could see it. Like, he's getting squished like this, but his arms around them... Open hand. I'm not touching them. I'm not doing anything inappropriate. I want to know if Gratwick Productions takes off. If you become someone who is a creator, an influencer, a decision maker, who can help other people's careers, who people look forward to talking to and admire, what are you going to do to ensure that not only will you never be accused of it, but no one can ever say that you did it? Well, like, what are your strategies?
You can't guarantee that you'll never be accused of it.
But you can make it.
All you can do is control how you interact with people. And I'm not going to change anything about how I interact with women because I feel like I treat women the same way I do a dude. If it's a natural, normal, professional engagement, I'm going to go with the handshake unless the relationship is more personal and evolved from that. If I just met you, I'm not going for the hug unless you go for the hug. If you want to go for the hug, then I grew up on hugs. I have no problems hugging people. I'm going to do the lean forward so your shoulders are coming together, but your waist doesn't, you don't try to bring your whole waist close together. So you do the lean forward, and you keep it to the upper area, and you keep your hands behind the back above like the chest level on the back, and you give the pat on the back. It's the same hug I'd give a dude. It's the same hug I'd give a lady that I'm not in any kind of relationship with. And you know, again, I'm not going to initiate the hug. But if you come and want to hug me, I'll give you the platonic. I might even give you the fist bump in the back of the, you know. But yeah, like I don't feel threatened by my interaction with women because I try to keep my distance anyway. And like I'm a 41-year-old white dude with a bald head. I don't even go out of my way to look like a pervy, creepy dude. Get the handshake, move it along. I don't know, have you ever seen me have any kind of pervy or like overly...
If I had, I wouldn't be with you.
But no, but I mean, like, not even like intentional or anything, but just like accidental, like try to be too, I don't know, too affectionate with
No, you're usually
randos.
not the affectionate person. If anything, I'm the affectionate person because I give hugs.
Yeah.
I'm the Midwestern one who... That you do that when you appreciate someone. You give them hug, but I do agree with if you're going to give a hug, it's supposed to be here to here. I had a friend in college who we realized that we give awesome hugs to each other because we, for some reason, sometimes ladies, your chest are the exact like right angles for each other that when you lean into hug, like chest to chest bone, boob to boob, it just works so that it's not awkward. So it actually feels like heart to heart. You're appreciating someone. But I'm not going to say with dudes I do the boob squish against them. That I try not to do that. That makes it somewhat sexual.
I've been a professional poker player off and on. I feel like I'm pretty good at reading the signals. Like even growing up and when it became time to make out time, I always kind of waited for like the flashing red sign by the girl that she's into it. Then you go for the kiss. If the kiss is responsive, then you escalate from there. And you always, I don't know, I've always kind of just let the other side dictate where the lines are and then operated within those boundaries.
So I have a couple ideas. I have an idea for guys and I have an idea for girls.
Okay.
I'm going to give my idea for girls first off of the story that we're seeing that's happening an awful lot on set is the invasion of privacy in your trailer. Because that's where people rehearse. That's where everyone's been growing. You hang out in your trailers, all that. I think put frickin' nanny cams in your trailer. It's your trailer. You can be aware of where you have nanny cams. No one else needs to know. It's your protection, your security.
What does this have to do with hugs?
That was not it. It was how you protect yourself nowadays.
Oh.
Yeah, like
So we're
what
still
would
on
you
hugs.
do in your extreme to make sure that you're not in that situation, or if you are, you have proof of what happened and it doesn't ever get to be a he said, she said thing. For women, start having nanny cams all over your trailer, every way, from every direction. For men, body cam. No.
That's ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. From the guy who wants to have live streams feeds all over his set. From the crafty, from on set.
For entertainment purposes that also give accountability.
Is it because, exactly. Because that has been a huge thing, is that no one can be a creepo bazzipo when everyone is live streaming. But if you're the guy who's got all the money and it seems like someone might be trying to set your ass up, yeah, you put a little spy cam right there and a little button boot in there.
We're heading on to a 2-hour episode here. We need to start bringing this into
What's your bullet blitz?
Landing. Back on my bullet blitz. One of the things we forgot to talk about was the fire in fireworks, and for the title of our show. Coming home the other night from earthquake night, I couldn't get into the canyon because there was a nether fire started in the canyon, putting all of us at risk here. And it started because of some jackass launching fireworks in a high-risk fire zone.
We have signs everywhere saying no smoke, no fires, and then we had giant red signs put up, no fireworks.
Andrea, in her eternal effort to give people the benefit of the doubt, would like to assume that it was stupid teenagers that did it. So my question for Andrea is, what is one of the stupidest things you've ever done as a teenager that was reckless and dangerous and could have got people hurt?
So the summer before my senior year, my sister was home from college. I was home. My parents and my brother went to Chicago to go visit family because this was the first year we were allowed to use one of the cars and have a job during the summer. So my sister worked at Pella Windows in Carroll, a half hour away, and I worked at a restaurant in Waitress out there in the same town. So we swapped the cars. And we swapped the car, took turns, whatever. It worked out perfectly. And it was like a 1967 giant boat of an LTD freaking car. Like, it was made of metal. Old school. It's fine. It won't ever get hurt. We have a bridge over by my parents' house that even when we're going over the bridge and Dad's going 20, 25, you get that little feeling of lifting in the air, like, woo! And it just kind of makes your stomach, woo! Yeah, so one night, my sister was working and she was going to go over to a friend's house or whatever afterwards, so she didn't need the car. And I had friends come over, and we decided part of the fun would be all loading in the car, like 10 of us in this car, because there are no seatbelts and it's all those like straight across bench seats. So we decided we were going to see how fast we could go over that bridge. And I know we definitely got it over 65. And at one point when we landed, the speedometer got stuck. And well over 65, which then made it that we had to keep going until we unstuck the speedometer. And that was a little bit dangerous because it was a wooden bridge. And it was definitely not made for two cars to go over it. We were not worried about anybody else possibly coming down the road in any way whatsoever. And a couple times, because it was all a gravel road, when I landed, there was a little bit of skiddage. A little bit of woo to the side of the road, almost in the ditch, but no one got hurt. That, I would say that would be my most reckless of one is...
Okay.
I took the bridge, bitches. Yeah.
We used to get drunk and have bonfires when parents weren't around.
How old were you?
Anywhere from 17 to 24. And we would have bonfires and get drunk when our parents weren't home. And then we would put chairs in the center of the bonfire and see who could sit in the chair the longest before they chickened out and got out of the fire.
How was the chair not on fire?
Well, eventually it was.
What kind of chair are you talking about?
One of the times I did it with nylon pants on, and my nylon melted to my ankles. Nah, it was pretty stupid.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many of you got hurt?
Nobody. Nah,
dude, when your pants melt to your skin,
well, the funny
that's
is,
an injury.
I woke up the next day.
How drunk were you?
Yeah, drunk enough that I woke up the next day, and I'm like, why does my ankle itch? And I'm scratching my ankle. And I'm like, what's on my ankle? I'm like picking it off. It's a big melted clump of plastic to my ankle. I didn't even know that it happened until I picked it off in the morning.
Dude.
Yeah.
Playing with fire when you're drunk is not smart.
Keeping them simple and quick, dear. Last bullet blitz for you.
What do you think of Tales of the City?
It's horrendous. It is a gratuitous, alternative lifestyle, graphic sex show, which fine. Got no problems with the alternative lifestyles and all of that. But when it seems like the entire point of the show is just to like, hey, alternative lifestyles, and you're not actually like telling stories, I got a problem with it. What was the show from the Wachowski siblings? That one at least had a sci-fi story. It was like it wasn't Sixth Sense. It was.
But it was something like that, like The Sixth or The Seven or You guys know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. You remember it a couple years ago, and then they had like those very graphic, like the birthing scenes where it just.
That's an example of, again,
made you
trying to
cry.
overly ram the alternative lifestyle into the storyline where it becomes like forced and over dominates the story. But at least it had a kind of sci-fi, like interesting element that everybody's kind of brains were all connected to each other and they could see all each other's shenanigans. Whereas this Tales from the City. There ain't no tails. We're just following one asshole around to another until they bang each other.
Which I agree that the first 4 episodes had way too much sex. I don't appreciate that in anything. Like, if I want to watch porn, I'll watch porn. But otherwise, I don't believe the actual showing of the sex adds anything real, except it makes me feel uncomfortable for the actors. Like, it takes me out of the scene, because all I'm thinking about is, how awkward does it have to be for those two who just came in that day, and that's what they're being put into. But there was a previous one made back in like the early 90s with Olympia Dukakis and Laura Linney, and it didn't have as much sex, but it still kept the alternate lifestyle because it started in San Francisco. But yeah, I would say I like it. I think it's okay. Kris, your turn.
Final bullet blitz of the episode.
Final.
Dear.
Let's do it.
Would you use the scooters that are all over the city now?
I want to say no, but the other day I saw a chick on it and she looked really happy. Like, there was just something about her just like literally just riding along, just smiling, happy as can be. Just the world was on her side. It looked kind of fun.
I want to do a bender, like a pub crawl with the scooters and just get a bunch of people all scootering from one bar to the next. That'd be a good time.
That
Good time.
could be hilarious.
All right, dear. That brings this Gratcast to a close. Anything to tease for next week? Emily's Corner. She's going to be at Crypticon. Thank you for joining the show this week, Emily. We've got new hood ornaments. We've got some new workings. We've got title cards now. We're going to have... David Stay will join us one of these Mondays coming up. Probably not next Monday, but I'm hoping I can confirm for next Monday, and it'll be the following Monday. You guys are going to friggin' love this guy when he co-hosts an episode. We're going to really get into some shit. I guess that's it. Like, subscribe, share if you're still here. 2 hours in. We got to start implementing...
We had a lot of things to talk about, didn't we? Like, there were more topics than we normally do.
Brevity needs to be the word of the day for Gratcast going further.
I would like you all to go back and see how much it was Kris talking and not me, and then let's talk about brevity. Eh?